It is always good to see a pictorial representation of anything, friends. Welcome to the pictorial representation of the Scrum Framework. This is a very nice pictorial representation presented by the Scrum Alliance, and this will help you to understand the entire flow with the core components of this entire Scrum Framework. Can we go ahead and understand how exactly it is presented? Yes. Now, the product owner is responsible for the product backlog. The term product backlog is very important, and it is an ordered list or emergent list of what is needed to improve the product and includes the product goal. So who owns it? The product owner owns it. Refinement is another term which is pretty much connected with the Scrum, and it is a continuous activity which can add the details, estimates, and order to the items in the product backlog. So you can keep refining. That's what agile approach is all about. And next comes the sprint planning. What is sprint planning? It establishes the goal, what can be done, and how the chosen work will be completed, what to be done, how to be done. This is what is sprint planning all about. Now sprint backlog comes into picture. The sprint backlog is completely owned by the developers. Please remember, the product owner owns the product backlog. At the same time, the sprint backlog is owned by the developers. The sprint backlog is a set of product backlog items selected for the sprint by the developers themselves, and there should be a plan for delivering the product increment and realizing the final goal. So that is sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is completely owned by the developers, and the sprint will be maximum for a month or slightly lesser. We have got daily Scrum connected to it. The Scrum Master drives all these activities. He is a facilitator. What is the daily Scrum all about? The purpose of the daily Scrum is to inspect the progress. How am I progressing? What are all the things that are missing? What are all the adjustments required? Backlogs, how is it looking like? Are we going to meet the goal? All these things will be taken care, will be discussed clearly in the daily Scrum. Now, Scrum Master is the facilitator who is going to help you in all these process. Each sprint should bring the product very closer to the overall product goal. Remember it, multiple sprints can be there, but each of them should work like reaching the destination is our final goal. The final destiny should be very closely reached on completion of each of these sprints. That's very, very important. What are the terms we have learned here? The first one is the product backlog, which is owned by the product owner. The second one is the planning, the sprint planning. The third one is the sprint backlog. And the sprint overall, the time frame could be 1 month or so, slightly lesser than that is preferred. It is always preferred to be modularized. You need to break it into smaller sprints and then you can reach the target. Now the sprint review is there. The purpose of the sprint review is to inspect the outcome of the sprint with the stakeholders. Remember, whatever is done, we need to understand if we meet the requirement. The outcome is to be analyzed, and sprint review will help you in doing that. Well, we have understood what exactly is sprint review. Now we have to understand the increment and retrospective. These two terms are very important. The increment is something which is going to provide more value add from what you have in the hand. The increments are nothing but the value that you provide. The developers will work towards providing something which meets the requirement, which meets the definition of done, and the value gets incremented there. So some of usable sprint backlog items completed by the developers in the sprint which meets the definition of done is called as increment. What is retrospective? The sprint retrospective is very, very important, and the entire Scrum team inspects how the last sprint went well, what were all wrong, what were all right, where they have to improve. This is more of collaborative and effective discussion that the team undertakes. That is called sprint retrospective. Overall, the complete framework is presented to you very nicely as the picture here, and I'm sure you enjoyed this. And who should participate and for how long is the next question that we need to answer. Sprint planning is a responsibility of the entire Scrum team, and maximum of 8 hours is the time frame that you can spend for month-long sprint. Daily Scrum, the developers, but if the product owner or the Scrum Master are actively working on items in the sprint backlog, they can participate as well as developers. Maximum 15 minutes a day, fix up a time, and we can follow that time frame perfectly. Sprint review is to be done by the entire Scrum team, maximum 4 hours for a month-long sprint. Sprint retrospective, entire team is responsible, Scrum team is responsible, maximum of 3 hours for a month-long sprint is preferred. That's all. This complete picture will give you the clear idea of what the Scrum framework is all about. I hope you enjoyed learning it. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you. Thanks for following my channel and content. If you have questions, please type it in the comment section. I'll take it up. Thank you.